Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Gerard, host of Gerard Black in the Philippines with the Truth. Before I get started, I want to tell you to get your pen and paper handy because I will be spelling some words that I can't pronounce, but I really want you to get the gist of what it is that I'm going to be telling you. But before we get started, let me say this. My heart goes out to the people of Ukraine. I was involved in the Ukrainian and Russian culture for over 10 years. So I got to know a lot of their customs. I got to know a lot of their holidays. I got to know, a lot about them. I used to, I was with someone and she was like the go-to one whenever something needed to be done and taken care of. You often hear me type, "I love you, Nina." Nina was like the monarch of the clan. She was married to Yurik, who passed a few years back. And I can honestly say I outdrink a Russian before, or Ukrainian before. When I first met him, we used to play chess. And it was funny because I used to beat him, like this, It gave me great pleasure knowing that I could beat someone, from somewhere where they were known to be the masters of the chess game. But then Yurik got sober. When he got sober, I couldn't beat him anymore. In fact, he got so frustrated me playing with him, he wouldn't play me no more because I wasn't good enough. So it was one of those things. But we often would go on trips together, to the Poconos, every Thanksgiving, holidays was usually spent at our house. And I remember once I went on a cruise with my girlfriend, and I'm not one to go to places and just go to places to just see things. I've never been a sightseer. So even here in the Philippines, I'm not rushing to go see the chocolate mountains because I really don't think they're made out of chocolate, or I'm not rushing to go to white sand beaches because often the time they're not white sand, or, it's just a beach with a lighter colored sand, and, I'm a photographer, but I'm not one to taking pictures of scenery, landscapes, or something like that. Put a girl in front of it. Yes, I'm interested in taking a picture. So I say that to say this, that I don't move around, to go places and see places. I remember once we went to Belize. We used to cruise a lot, this girl and I. And we went to Belize. And Belize is in Central America. It's one of the only countries that really fully speak English. You got Cozumel, you got, I can't remember the other countries that we visit. The other place we visit. But anyway, when I got off when we got the cruise ship, you were looking for somewhere to go see. And the sign said, "Howling monkeys. Come see the howling monkeys." And so we looked at it and said, "That sounds pretty interesting. I never knew monkeys to howl. So let's go see the howling monkeys." So we needed a driver to drive us, and this one driver named Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond. I'm Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond. So why not the catchphrase? Everybody loves Raymond. And he seems to be up on the American culture to know enough to say everybody loves Raymond. So we decided to go with him. So he's driving fast, and I want to take I want to take pictures because there was houses that are on these tall stilts extending out of the water. That you need a real long ladder to get to the house because apparently the water rises to that level. So it was of interest to me to at least get a couple of shots. Oh, we'll take it on the way back. So, we had this, somewhat plan to stop on the way back. So we're driving and we get to this place, this house, and we get out the car And this guy meets this guy, and he says, okay, where are howling monkeys? And he stands underneath the tree, goes, he makes this sound, and I'm expecting a whole swarm of howling monkeys to come down, and it's one monkey. One monkey, and he says, howling monkey. I said, oh man, do I feel cheated? Do I feel that we've been flim-flammed like that? So on the way back, we did stop somewhere else where they had a baby one day, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same, anticipating seeing a whole group of howling, monkeys, just one monkey. So going back, I'm anticipating taking pictures on the way back, but he's driving all the way back. Of course, why? Because he wants to get another passenger or another sucker to go see a howling monkeys. So anyway, Ukraine is now under the threat of being invaded by Russia. I know Crimea was recently, a few years ago, invaded by Russia, and my heart sank then. I often thought that maybe one day I would get to go to Russia or go to Ukraine, but I would talk to her brother and sisters on Skype. But she told me, said, Gerard, if you go to Ukraine, my family be ostracized, family be ostracized for 2 generations because I'm black. I said, wow, it's like that? Yeah, wow. So anyway, so I got so comfortable inside the culture, and they got so comfortable with me that they were able to say what it was that they wanted to say around me. And one of the couples had a daughter. Her name was Tatiana. And Tatiana, I shouldn't have said her name, but it's okay. Tatiana, and she was studying to be a doctor, very intelligent, and she was going out with a black man who sold Mercedes-Benz. So this is not no slouch. This is not no thug, no gang. I don't know what he does after work, but looking over the table, he seems to be a guy who has his stuff together. And her father went crazy. You can't go out with someone black. They're this, they're that. No, I forbid you to go. And it was this big rift inside the family because she was going out with a black man, and I'd be sitting at the table and I'm eating with them and drinking with them, and he would say all these horrible things about black, and he would say, but not you, Gerard. You're different. That's been the story of my life. I often been in places, different cultures, where people would say things about blacks, but then turn to me and say, but not you, Gerard. You're different. So anyway, I really don't know enough to know how that turned out, but it was one of the things that was transpiring inside there. Like the girlfriend I was with, she had a son. And I'm going off a little bit. I'm going to get to the story that I want to tell you. But she had a son, and he was about 14 or 15. And when they lived in a little small garage that was converted into a bedroom, and every time I would go see her or pick her up, she would always be arguing with him, about cleaning up, doing the dishes, make the bed, like this. And it used to drive me crazy because you had all this arguing. And of course, I don't understand, brother, speaking of Russian, or Ukrainian, which I think are 2 different languages. But anyway, but when I walked into the house, I saw a big poster of Tupac on the wall. When I saw the big poster of Tupac on the wall, I said, so you're fascinated with our, culture. So one day I told him, I said, come here. I said, you want to make $20 a week? He said, yeah. I said, okay. I want you every day to take out your garbage, do your dishes, and clean your room, and don't argue with your mother, and I'll give you $20 a week. I said, is that a deal? He said, yeah. So just like that, he changed overnight. You know, she was no longer arguing with them. She never knew what, why, what happened, or how come, what was the factor in this drastic change in him, But little did he know, or she know, that I was buying into his life. I was putting myself in a position to whereas that I'm an authority figure that, that had input into his life. So what happened was that he, as long as he, going to school like this, he could stay with us like this. He was going to college, shit like that. Very, very smart kid. Read the stocks and all this stuff. Super, super smart kid. Knew finances and all that stuff. So he was buying cars, had 3 cars, had like this and whatever. And he got a job working at one of the exclusive restaurants as a valet parking, which he was very good at. Made a lot of money. So anyway, I know his friends were giving him a lot of problem because his mother was dating a black man. I got that impression from him because, like, we never saw his friends like this, and he was always kind of angry, like this, whatever. And so one time he came to us and said, Gerard, I'm gonna can I bring a girl in my room? And I said, no, you can't bring a girl in your room. I said, you can't bring a girl in this house unless she's coming to eat dinner, sit on our table, and we get to meet her and talk to her. So he said, okay. So he got the gist of it. So the next day, he says to me, he says, Gerard, he says, I had sex with her in the car. I said, okay, good. You had sex with her. She was a black girl. I said, oh. Are you trying to get my whatever? Are you trying to rustle my feathers? Are you trying? I said, oh, okay, cool. Okay, well, good. I'm glad you got you. I hope you use protection. One of those type of things. So anyway, one day we were sitting at the table eating, and his mother asked him for potatoes, a vegetable. He wants some more vegetables. He would threw up all over his mother, and I could tell that she was hurt by the things that he was saying to her. And so I'm eating. So after he finished, I said, Dima, what you just said to your mother, would you have said to her if your father was sitting here? If your uncle was sitting there? Or any other adult Russian or Ukrainian sitting at the table, would you have said what you just said to your mother? He said, no. I said, don't you ever again disrespect me because I don't speak your language and talk to your mother any way you want to, taking advantage of me because I don't speak the language. I said, if you do, I will forbid the both of you for speaking your language in this house. So he got the point. He went to college the first year. So the second year, he decided he didn't want to go to college. So I said, so what are you going to do? He says, he had a job. I said, okay. So he decided to quit his job. I said, you got 3 cars out there. Who do you think's going to pay the insurance on those cars? And he had gotten me to the point, he loved drinking Coca-Cola. So he had gotten to the point where is that all I did was over the Coke, I go, doo, doo. It was so funny. It was so nerve-wracking because he would drink so much Coca-Cola. I would, ooh, he's drinking another one. So anyway, He says, I'll sell the cars. So he jumped up and sold the cars, just like that. And so I said, well, you got to work. He says, there are no jobs out there. So I said, come on, get in the car. So he got in the car and he drove. I drove around and said, look, see, help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. And I just happened to go to Home Depot. And I went to Home Depot, asked they hiring. They said, yeah, they were hiring. I said, I have a young man out in the car, who wants to, looking for a job. He says, bring him in. He says, we'll hire him today if you fill out the application. So I went out to the car and I said, look, I said, they're hiring in here. They said, if you come in and put in an application, they could probably start you up today. He said, no, that's okay. I'll do it online. No, I don't want to. I said, oh, I see. You don't want to work. So we got home, and his mother and I were going to another cruise in a couple of weeks. So I told him, look, your mother and I are going on another cruise. You can't stay here. I don't care where you stay. I don't care if you stay with your father's house, your uncle's house, or in the streets, but you cannot stay here and not work. So he jumped, I told him about the service, so he jumped up in my face, I'll join the service. I said, oh, really? I said, come on. I put his ass in the car, drove right to the recruiter's office. He said, I'm going by myself. I said, no, I'm going by myself. So we went in, and he was sitting in front of the Marines. And I told him to go into the Navy. So he said, for the Marine, and the sergeant, the recruiting sergeant, said, we don't know what they do in the Navy. This is the Marines, like this. I said, come here, Demon. So I put my arms around him with love, because I'm all about love. I said, you see, Marines, Army, Air Force, Navy. I said, that's where you want to go, into the Navy. So he walked into the Navy, he's recruiting. I walked in there with him because I know what's happening. I said, okay, look, Dima, you've been experimenting with drugs. Tell him what kind of drugs you're using. So this way he would know what he needs to do to make sure you pass the entry exam and the physical to go into the Navy. And he did. So he joined the Navy. So now he's porting all over the world like this and getting his rocks off whenever he can. But he hated it. He hated having to be told what to do. So, we went to go see him at graduation, when he graduated in San Diego, because that's who he graduated. And he decided to stay in San Diego. He didn't want to come back to New York. He wanted to stay as far away from home as possible. So I said, okay, cool, if that's what he wants to do. He met a nice Russian girl or Ukrainian girl. The parents owned a gym. And, no, he was no slouch. Dima got a job as a courier. He was one of those cats on the motorcycle that would drive to the airport and pick up body organs and rush them to the hospital for transplant. Or vice versa. He would take an organ and drive to the airport so they can take off and take it wherever it was he wanted to go. But while he was in the Army or in the Navy, he saved all his money. When he got out, he started buying gold and silver and precious stones and all this stuff like this. When we finally went to go visit him at his house, he said, Gerard, come here, I want to show you something. I said, yeah, what is it? He opened up his closet door, and you couldn't hardly see the bottom of his floor with all the silver and all the gold and stuff he had stacked up in his house. He was planning on buying a laundromat. This guy had done so well financially that I don't know, he may own part of San Diego by now. But anyway, that's the story. But the moral of the story is that sometimes you have to use tough love. And there are times I wasn't tough on him, but I was firm in the options that he had, to make confronting the situation that he was confronting. Rather it was me or a job or what have you. Sometimes it takes tough love. So I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy for what I contribute personally to that whole clan. And I'm not going to go into further detail, but generations and generations from now, they can have the bragging rights of saying the reason that we have come this far in the United States is because of a black man. So anyway, my hearts go out to Ukraine. I remember my girlfriend telling me that one time that, I don't know, her grandmother's time or whatever, that they just changed the money. Whatever money you had socked away in your bed and mattress or whatever, it was no longer valid. And you might as well use it for toilet paper. That's just how fragile some countries are around the world. That they can change their currency overnight, and whatever currency you have now is useless. From my understanding, what's going on in Ukraine is that Russia doesn't want them. Russia wants to include Ukraine part back into its fold as the Soviet Union, as it was once upon a time. But they're really afraid of it joining NATO because they don't want to NATO, which is the national name. I don't know. It's an organization where all the countries get together and form at least one bond together, dealing with a lot of issues what's taking place around the world, be it human rights or be it aggression or this type of thing. So they didn't want to have that close on a Russian border or close to Russia. And then the possibility of arming it, which is what it's really afraid of, is that the United States will arm it with far advanced weapons than possibly that Russia has. And so this is also part of Russia's concern. But we'll see what happens. They had a meeting, Biden and Putin. We'll see what happens. Sanctions, I guess, are good. Because why? Because they do it. To me, does it ever stop anything? No. But, it is what it is. So, anyway. So with that being said, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell. And don't forget to share. And hit me with a like. Now, what I got for you is that my first trip, because this is how all this started, my going somewhere. I'm going to tell you where I went after you watch the video. Okay? So remember, you're watching Gerard, Black in the Philippines with the truth. And as usual, dreams are nothing more than plans awaiting action. Never disrespect the elderly, always pull someone up. And sometimes you're the only one to see your vision. I'm going to give a shout out to my daughter, Gerard, who has reached a milestone in her viewership, which she's very happy about. And happy birthday to her. It was just recently on the 6th. So anyway, never disrespect the elderly, always pull someone up. And sometimes you're the only one to see your vision. And the best revenge in life is to live good. I'm living good today. I hope you are too. Okay? And if you're lucky enough to have a woman like Ollie Woodson, former lead singer of The Temptation, once sung, treat her like a lady. And ladies, if you're lucky enough to have a good man like me, do the right thing. Trust him. My God. Woo, trust him. Because if he loves you, he's not going nowhere. Okay? So with that being said, here's my trip. I'll always love you more. Peace. Okay, greetings everyone. What I got for you is, today is my first major trip in the Philippines. I'm going up into the mountains. So we'll see what's going to happen. I'm going to try to let you see a little bit and understand more of the culture. So just stick with me. I'm going to take you along my journey. Okay? Just remember, dreams are nothing more than plans awaiting action. Never disrespect the elderly and always pull someone up. And sometimes you're the only one that's sleeping. If you're lucky enough to have a woman like Hollywood's informer lead singer of Temptation, what's up? Treat her like a lady. Okay? I'll talk to you later. Peace. Okay. Right now we're pulling into Shanghai. I have to change our buses here. I don't know if you can see much of the city. Of course you can. But so far it's been a pretty uneventful trip. But that's okay. I like it like that. I want to talk to you about a few things on the way to the trip while we're riding. It's always nice to see where you've been. And not so much to see where you're going. This is called a series bus. These are a series of buses that travel throughout the Philippines that you can just catch a ride on. They run pretty frequently. As far as public transportation is concerned, you know, they are very, very good. They got 3 methods. They got 4 actually. They got a hobble. A hobble is an extended motorcycle that has an extended seating capacity where you can ride up to 4 or 5 people on it now. And they also have the series bus like this. They also have a jitney. A jitney is like a small van that travels up and down the road and stop and pick up passengers. And it also has a tricycle. You see tricycle, there's one right here. I hope you got a chance to see it. It's a tricycle actually. But the motorcycle on it is able to drive up and down the road and pick up passengers. So getting around the Philippines is quite easy. At nighttime it might become difficult, but during the daytime, you travel around quite freely. Let me give you a little bit of a look at Shanghai. This is where I shop at. Prince. There, I hope you can get a good feel for Shanghai. Okay, so I'll be right back with some more of my trip. I haven't yet told you where I'm going. I will eventually. Trust that. Okay, give you a more closer view, look at Shanghai. The scooters are always very popular method of getting around, get an idea. Right here, these guys here are guys who stop people and get them passengers for other method of transportation, rather it be a van or a bus. You can see Shanghai. My boat dog amigos.
Hi, amigos.
How are you? Okay?
I'm fine. It's okay.
You asked me if I know a little bit of Bisaya. I know my boat dog, my Otto, my on the bay. I know Wampa. I know Buhay Pa. Buhay Pa, you know Buhay Pa, yeah.
I'm okay.
Buhay Pa.
Buhay talaga.
Yeah, Buhay Pa. But still alive. I also know. Go Jack. No, he's hungry. Okay. I also know Toe Jack. So you know Toe Jack? Yeah, Toe Jack very Toe Jack is having sex. Okay. All right, so this one, he's hungry, so I'm gonna stop and give him some money so this way he gets something to eat. Okay, I'll give you more of my trip. Just hold on. Manny Pacquiao be president?
Yeah.
For the president? Manny Pacquiao is the boxer. He's a six-time world champion in 6 different divisions. I believe Manny Pacquiao will be president because of his popularity. So you like Manny Pacquiao, yeah?
Yeah, I like Manny Pacquiao.
Okay. So you married? You married?
No.
No wife?
No.
No girlfriend?
No.
No slow jack?
No. Yeah.
Okay. My bus is coming. I'll talk to you later. Bye. This is Vice. You have vendors who come on the bus to sell items. Oh, you want to get some skins?
Naghahanap ng business, ha? Tubig. Tubig. Terminal na sa Vice. Dito na ito sa satellite.
How much?
Sir. Ampaw?
What is it?
Boiled egg? Boiled egg?
What is it? No, I want the crunch.
Crunch ko no. Chicharon, this one?
Charon?
Or this one?
No, these skins. These.
Pork.
I want these.
For
Yeah.
35?
What?
3 for 100.
No, just one.
35.
Oh, okay, hold it.
Tubig. Churong baboy ang pawitong mga roni tubig. Sarap mo? Sir, do you want spicy, sir?
No spicy.
No spicy. Okay. Plates. Just 35, sir. Yes, thank you. Tubig, macaroni, tubig.
Yes. No.
Tubig, charon, ampaw,
These are like
macaroni.
skins.
Tubig.
In the United States, we have skins. I guess you might say pork rinds. I'll show you what they are. The packed version. It's like this. Can you see it? They're just like skins in the United States. Very delicious, very tasty. Okay. They usually come on the bus, they sell waffle pies, they sell sandwiches. The bus is going long distance. So let me give you a little bit more of the city. We're taking a side street, so I'll pause right here. You can see all the different vendors. There's a rest stop. Alright? Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to the CR, which stands for Comfort Room Restroom. Be right back. Okay, we are now entering another barangay, another town. You can see the shops. These people in their day-to-day lives. Okay, there we go. Okay, right now I just pulled into a rest area here. You can see I get a chance to smoke a cigarette. So I'm going to do a 360-degree turn so you can see what's all around me. It's kind of open lot. And you also can see other buses that are parked here. And of course this is my bus. And of course you have more vendors coming along. This is another vendor and she's coming. She'll probably get on the bus to sell her wares. You know, it's funny, I have a young man who I help with his module. And usually he's 10 years old and I help him with English. Of course I help him with English. But he do a great job. But he came to me and asked if I could help him with math. I said, math? Are you crazy? And the thing was decimal. I said, decimal? I thought I was going to disintegrate in the chair. I don't know anything about decimal. And boy, you're talking about feeling, uneducated. I certainly did. Okay, so I just want to stop. One thing I want to talk about is about, it's like here in the Philippines, Texas, Arizona, when you stand in the sun, you can feel the heat. But when you step in the shade, it's like a magic trick. Because it gets very cool. I like that about hot places. That you can just stand in the shade and it'll be nice and cool. At least, I don't know how many degrees of Celsius cooler, but it is very cool. I'll talk to it. picked up another worker. One gets on and one gets off. Oh, no, he's not getting off, just helping the young lady. You know, the Philippines has had a lot of influence from different countries. The Spaniards, the Japanese, and right now, it's a sea conflict with China. China recently, about a week ago, used water cannons in Philippine waters to stop Philippine fishing boats from fishing, which is definitely a sign of aggression. But that's China, as it slowly takes over the world. His workers, you know, watching them work doing construction work is very interesting. They don't have a lot of modern equipment that what you might expect when someone's laying concrete or breaking up concrete, for that matter. They'll take down the wall with this a hammer and a chisel, rather than bringing in a ball and knock it down. They get the job done. And one thing I really admire about the construction of Filipino houses is the floors. I love the floors. But you can see this is another business town. I guess this would be called like downtown, where they mostly caters to all your needs. I hope you're getting a good feel of the communities, the houses. That's all construction going on. They do a lot of building or renovating. Two-step gas stations side by side is unusual, but I guess they're only there because the businesses or the people can support it. Okay, we just entered into another barangay. We just entered into another barangay. I missed the name of it. But I guess we just left it. That's how small that one was as far as businesses go. Nice tall coconut trees.
Dito mo to sa driver kanina, kung driver nga vamos.
Passengers just got off the bus.
Dito na
This looks like a school here. There's a lot of people on that moped. I'm always smiling when I see them ride with the infants or small child on a scooter. I understand that it's the culture, but it damn sure is scary.
Manambok ka o yan. Manambok ni mo, patay ka. Kaya sa manambok ka po na oras, mamatay ka. Walang tao. Ang tao nagkapok ka, mamatay ka.
Nanay ba? Puro na atay sa kasama.
This is another barangay, another town. As you can tell by the businesses, it seems to be a little bit more thriving. Or even has a 7-Eleven. Wow, that's a big deal. When I first came to 7-Eleven, I thought they had ATMs then like they do in the US. But they don't. That's all, folks.
O ang ikaduha, sa inyong kinabuhi, nga inyong presensya karon naa, labi na sa pamilya side sa akong asawa, ilang Jelo, ilang Idalin, ilang mga kauban, Timia, layo pa ni sila pero biyahe lang yun tungod kay ganahan po sila nga dili lang sa ingon nga ganahan sila kay maka-ari diri sa among panimalay kundi kani kung parinti ganahan po nga naabuta makita pa nato. So nagpasalamat mig dako ana, we appreciated that. Kung sa English pa na, amo nang pasalamatan may suon kay dili sayon ang oras kung imo kung gihugol isang layo kapoy po travel kabalo niya na kay ako sige po travel kapoy gina siya pero blessed kayo mi nga naa mo dili po ni siya sulagma o dili po ni siya plano ginamo kung dili plano ginis Ginoo kay sa makausa ayo mo katingala nga every time nga ano na may okasyon nga ginagmay okasyon bisag inani regod gamay basta kinising-kasing magpasalamat gyud dako sa Ginoo. Di ginamo kalimtan ang Ginoo. Kay nga naman ang Ginoo may igsoon mo ni sa tag-iya sa kinabuhi. Kung wala ang Ginoo may igsoon, wala po ta diri ron. Sa kakaon ani ron, igsoon. So kinahanglan nga katigo kita mo pasalamat is Ginoo. Bisan in the other ways or ginagmay ra nga butang mison kutob gyud sa imong makaya. Ay ba? Kay nga naman sa dihang dapita imong mapasalamat ang Ginoo. Magunsa man tong daghan kay hikay, daghan kay kang bisita or sa panya pero dili ka ni singkasing ang imong paghatag ug pagpasalamat sa Ginoo. So useless ra gyapon next song dili dawaton sa Ginoo. Kung dili dapat kinasingkasing gayod. So nagpasalamat pug dako sa Ginoo bisan pa mas kong asawa ang grabe gyud siya gyud namunay gyud tamas ginawa kuan ana plano ani tanan pasalamat po sa Ginoo kay gitagaan gyud mig niya kusog. Og sa kong anak akong ikabilin nimo nak happy birthday. I love you. Naigugmay minimo, labi na kay usaro jud ka buok. Di lagi madungagan pod. Akong ikabilin nga verse diyan nimo, Ephesians 6:1. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Ephesians 6:2. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. Kani siyang mga bersikulo basic ra kay ni siya sa mga bata. Kung mari mo sa Christian school, kasagaran mo gini siya ihatag na verse. Kaya nga naman, gusto gyud sa Ginoo nga diri sa kalibutan tudluan ta sa pagtahod sa atong mga ginikanan. Kita diri tanan, amo tay mga ginikanan, mutahod ba ta? So kanang ginikanan nato karon mo na gisanguran sa Ginoo, mo na gihatag sa Ginoo nga once nga mutawod mo ana nitawod po mo sa amahan kisa may amahan ang Ginoong Hesukristo mo atong gialagaran may soon. So mo na kong ikabilin nak o dili na nako tason kay ang akong busing video na orag maulaw na ko. I'm very shy.
You're doing
Shy
just
man.
fine. You're doing just
God bless
fine.
everyone og salamat sa inyong pag-ari. Ang Ginoo magpanalangin diha kaniyo. Tanang dugong himaya kung ibalik dito sa Dios.
Mayong hapon sa matag usa ako po. Dako mo salamat sa Ginoo kay wala yun ni siya namo planuha nga mayon ani kay tungod lagi sa kasako po niya. So sa ako siya ginan niya, di na ta mag-celebrate palit na ka og gift dito sa kuan tindahan, pili ra ka siya. Sige okay ra ma kay kuan niya na kanang COVID manggod kanang lockdown niya ana ba niya. Ito nabot sa point nga naka-kuan ko nila dong jello atong time nga ilaming gi-rescue dito naguba mi sakyanan dito sa bahay so ko lalo po to sa Ginoo nga gikan sa ayong naguba ang sakyanan naputol na dayang belt nakaabot mi og ayong bahay sa kalayo sa ayungon kay di ay na yung mga tao nga kadugo ra pud namon pahimutang ang Ginoo mo nang ang tanan jud na jud siya kanang dili jud ingon siyang sulagma ang tanan lalo jud gikan sa Ginoo mo nang thank you kay sa inyong kinabuhi dong sa iyang asawa yung Hydralyn nga kanang bisa pa matulog parinting nga nila itansag ng itagurami pero kanang sa kadugay na namo ba karon ba jud mi nagkita nga kana jud kita gyud nga personal kay sa Facebook ra siya kita mo nang glory to God yang Ginoo nangita siya paagi nga manag kuan kanang nagkadugo magkakuan jud magkasuod bisa pa man ni Papa nga pagtawag ni Mara sa iyang nanay gilakan jud ta mas ginhawang Mara para jud mo iyang nanay pero wa jud kalusot iyang tatay mo na adiri mo nang salamat pud nga layo po kayong biyahe o bisa pa man pod ninyong tanan o sa atong MC ron nga kanang kalit-kalit ra ni gabi kay atong MC worship na ay emergency gabi sa ospital mo nang kuan siya pakalit ra jud ni siya o sa atong very special nga visitors pod ron nga di ka na siya US are you come from US today just today
Yes, US.
wala
10 minutes ago.
wala jud naman siya plano nga okay na si Papa nga yan ako Papa ay Guihulngan pa kay birthday Mara wala ko ningon nga
cover this event.
na silang manang Mia wala jud ako plano nga inon ako sa daw jello po ni ari diri kay na silang manang Mia wala jud ba kanang murag hingon siya nga family reunion na jud siya ining kuan na nang special kay mo kamo mo among first visitor ron sa layo kayong bais na jud mo nang salamat sa Ginoo sa imong kinabuhi o unya panggabi may so ni bani naram sa doon nga paulahi ra pud sila mo nang among gi-priority kamo tungod kay ay tinuganay nang gingon nga dukso ng dugo gyud wala inana jud sa nga kanang gugma nimo imo jud ma-feel basta kadugo jud nimo mo nang thank you sa matag usa oh buti gingon sa akong bana nga one and only na jud ni wala jud ay ra mag-expect nga napad jud usa wala na wala ingon diha nga kanang ang anak mo na siya pinakalabing bililhon nga gasa gikan sa langit nga wala ikatandi so the precious gift nga maangkon sa family is kana jong son or daughter nimo is the very precious gift nga imo jong ma-feel sa imong tibuok kinabuhi nga kuan niyo siya kanang priceless nga butang mo nang tanang dog himaya ang Dios nga dawat ning danan di na nako dugayon kay ang lechon ang hawot ng dagway tanang dog himaya ang Dios nga dawat ning tanan
so usa ta mo adto sa atong physical nga pagkaon mga igsoon atong una-unaon nga mas importante ang atong kalag kay ang kalag mo gipangita sa atong buhi nga Dios dili atong physical nga lawas mo na nga kinahanglan nga ato sang busgon pag-ayo pinaagi sa pulong sa atong buhi nga Dios ang ato ang kalag kay mao man ni siya mo atubang sa Dios inig-abot sa hukom mo nang atong palakpakan atong buhi nga Dios akong ihakal ang higayon sa iyang ubos nga alagad walay lain kundi si Sister Ruth Puyod.
Praise God. Hallelujah. Salamat sa Ginoo na surprise ko kay di basta-basta ni atong bisita gikan US. Salamat sa Ginoo, glory to God. Dako kalipay o gi-welcome muna mo. Kay karon pa man ta nagkita, ayan mo kaulaw. Kami ra gani maulaw ninyo. Unang salamat sa Ginoo, glory to God nga naata ning mao panibalay ni Sister Cyril, Brad Vonney o kitang tanan invite. Nya munang Ni ata miduyog ta alang sa pagpasalamat nila diha sa buhi nga Dios. Walay lain nga atong pasalamatan kundi ang Dios nga mao itagya sa atong kinabuhi. Kay siya man mao itagya sa atong kinabuhi, munang angayan siya nga atong pasalamatan. Kay siya man maoy naghatag sa atong gininhawa, naghatag nato sa puso, munang tapos siya nga atong pasalamatan. Dili ko mukutlo sa Roma 12:1. Matod pa sa versikulo Roma 12:1. Busa hangyoon ko kamo mga igsoon tungod sa kaluoy sa Dios sa pagtugyan sa inyong mga lawas ingon nga halad nga buhi. Ang halad nga mao ang inyong espirituhanon nga pagsimba. Nganong ingon ani ang nganong yun ani ang maong pulong ni Apostol Pablo. Tungod kay nakita ni Apostol Pablo nga adiin ang atong kinabuhi, kinahanglan nga atong ihalad sa Dios. Dili kay mohalad ang kibiil. Kasabot ba ta kibiil? Bunyag, lubong, kasal. O kibiil. Kinahanglan nga ang gikipangayo sa Dios mao ang atong kinabuhi. Mura na di pangayo sa Dios. Wala siya nangayo og bulawan. Wala siya nangayo og salapi. Na siya mo'y tagya sa tanan salapi, bulawan. Ang gipangayo ra gyud sa Dios mao ang atong kinabuhi. Nga atong ihalad nganha kaniya. Kay siya tag-iya. Oh, kining atong gininhawa ron Dios ani mo'y tag-iya. Ug angayan nga ato siyang pasalamatan. Angayan nga ato siyang sakripisyuhan sa pag-alagad tungod kay siya man mo itagilain tanan. Munang mapasalamaton ta sa tanan nga mga butang nga atong naangkon. Ang bahandi nga anaa nato ron, yan na sa Dios. Ang mga maayong panglawas nga naa nato ron, yan na sa Dios. Kanang blessing nga naa sa ato rong pamilya, yan na sa Dios. Kanang ato mga anak, yan na sa Dios. Oh, munang angayan gyud nga ato siyang pasalamatan. Wala nay laing gipangandoy sa Dios. Ang imong pagmahal na nakaniya. Maura na, munang ang pulong sa Dios nag-ingon, ihalad ang inyong kinabuhi. Roma 12:1. Basahan niyo ang ako, matod pa ni Apostol Pablo, naghangyo siya nga kinahanglan atong higugmaon ang Dios. Oh, dili kay muhigugmaratan niya kung naatasan mga problema. Dili kay muhigugmaratan niya kung naata sa mga kabugato sa atong mga problema. Ang kinahanglan sa Dios mao ang atong puludaan nga pagmahal. Oh, kung nagmahal man ta sa atong mga anak, ingon anak ko ang Dios. Siya nagmahal nato. Wala nagtanaw ang Dios kung unsa ta sa ato ang kinabuhi. Kung unsa ta ka makasala diya sa anang tubangan. Wala nagtanaw ang Dios. Ang Dios hugma. Kung gusto ang Dios nga ang atong kinabuhi, atong isakripisyo diha sa pag-alagad. Mauna gipangita sa Dios. Ug wala nay lain iyang gipangalan. Matod pa sa Roma 12:2, matod pa niya, ayaw kamo pahiuyon sa mga pangibog inyong kagutan. Hinuon ipabago ang inyong mga panghuna-una. Nga naman, nga nag-ingon man ani ang pulong sa Diyos tungod kay nakita na dinhin sa tipong kalibutan ang tumang mga problema. O, dili nato hipauyon ang ato ang mga kinabuhi kinibutan na ato nakita ang atong mga panibog. Grabe ang mga grabe kayo ang mga panghitabo. Grabe ang mga batang ngayon. Di na gani makailaog Diyos. Wala na gani pagtakot sa mga tigulang. Ang mga tigulang na hinuon mga katanguran ini kagabi sa mga batanon. Ang mga batanon wala. Di na gani ang mga may gabi Nga naman, tungod kay ang ilang mga kinabuhi lahi uyon sa kalibutan. Unya ang gusto sa Dios nga ang atong kinabuhi mahilain sa kalibutan. Dunay kinaiyak nga dunay pagtakot sa kalibutan. Wala gikinahanglan sa Ginoo nga ang imong kinabuhi ug ang atong kinabuhi. Gusto niya nga naay na sa iyo. Munang salamat sa Ginoo niining ka ay mo kabalakang ko ra ni ako ang mensahe. Ang akong dasig sa matag usa nga ang kinabuhi nimo og ang akong kinabuhi. Gusto sa Dios na iyang dagat. Amen. Numdumi igsuon ko gigugma ka sa Dios. Siguro kining atong bisita ron di ba yun kasabot sa akong gisulti. Pero nakabalo ko nga kasabot ra ni siya sa Ginoo. Nakabalo ko nga i-bless ra ni siya sa Ginoo tungod kay naay connection sa Desire o si Brad Vonney. Sa diha nga si Brad Vonney, pasalamatin ninyo si Brad Vonney o si Sir Cyril nga nakakunik niya. Tungod kay sila ihimo pod nga kanang taytayan aron pod makabalo ta sa kaluwasan. Pinumdumi nga ang kaluwasan nga gasa sa Dios alang nato pinakaanindot nga gasa. Ang gasa sa Dios mao ang kinabuhi walay katapusan. Kung wala pa biya ta sa Ginoo, unsa na dugay ang atong kinabuhi? Di ba? Unsa dugay ro atong gibuhat? Na ako dugay ta sa laing balay ro, naghimutanay nagtabi. Sulahi ang kinaiya sa kalibutan. Dunay kun dinhi ang kinaiya sa kalibutan nagkalain-lain ang mga kalingawan. Dinhi sa kalibutan aron lamang ta malingaw. Apan kun naa ta diha sa Ginoo wala kay lain nga mapamalandungan kundi ang guma sa Ginoo. Wala kay laing mahinumduman kundi ang pulong sa Dios. Kay ang pulong sa Dios mao na atong kinabuhi. Ang pulong sa Dios mao na maghatag nato sa kinabuhi walay katapusan. Ang pulong sa Dios mao ni maghatag nato sa iwag sa dalan nga atong pagkalakad. Kung wala ang Dios sa atong kinabuhi, nay kanta. Kung wala ang Dios, wala tayo mahimo. Tinuod na, wala tayo mahimo kung wala ang Dios. Unang ato yung i-honor ang Diyos. Ato yung pasidunggan ang Diyos. O ato siyang alagaan. Samtang doon ako tayo kinabuhi. Samtang doon ako tayo ginhawa. Kanang ginhawa ron nga ako kabagunan. Ako ihalad sa Diyos. Pariya ni bata ron. Nagpasalamat ang mga Girikana. Nga naman, tungod kay ang Diyos mao'y nag-amuma. Nagdahal. Muna nagpasalamat sila. Wala sila ilaing gipasidunggan, kundi ang Diyos na nasa langit. Munang salamat sa Ginoo nga pinakanindot nga butang nga ang tao dili malimot sa pagpasalamat nila sa Diyos. Labi na sa ato ang mga adlaw na tawhan. Kinahanglan din nga atong pasalamatan ang Diyos. Ayaw niyo kalimti. Tungod kay siya nagdugang nato o kinabuhi. Siya nagdugang nato og laing katuigan. Unya nakalatas pa gyud ta sa daghang mga kalisdanan. Nakalatas pa gyud siya sa daghang mga problema sa atong kinabuhi. Munang angayan siya nga atong pasalamatan sa atong mga kinabuhi. Munang glory to God. Salamat sa Dios nga sa atong mga bisita ni Sir Cyril. Kaya pag dito nakakita ni aning mga parinti ni Sir Cyril. Munang glory to God. Ang akong mga pagdasig nga kinahanglan na yun akong pagdasig ng Diyos. Kaya sa Diyos ang kalagat ka sa Ginoo. Pinakaanindot nga pinakaanindot. Sa Diyos ang kalagat ka sa Ginoo. Dahil mga problema, apan tunay kasumbaran ang kanila. Bukod kayo, naamay atong salita ng mga walang glory to God. Dalay kong kayo ang Diyos. Ngayon ka autuhon. Nagtuo ko na ang Diyos mong igugmanin. Amen. Walang atong ipasalamatan. Inday Mara. Salamat sa Diyos sa kinabuhi nga gidugang niya. O sa mga ginikanan. Inday Mara. Happy birthday. I love you. Walang salamat sa Diyos nga gidugangan pa ang iyong kinabuhi og laing mga katuigan. Ginalindog ta. Ako Ganiday Mara, arito sa Tubanga, sa Tubangan, si Day Mara, kauban sa mga ginikanan, o mag-ampo ta sa buhi nga Diyos. Sige. Sige, atong ibayaw ang atong mga kamot ngadto sa mga pamilya sa iyo, Brad Vonney. Kanimo Dios nga labing balaan dalay kung ka Ginoo sa walay katapusan. Nagpasalamat kinimo Ginoo sa dako nimo kaayo sa kinabuhi ko sa pamilya ni Brad Vonney o Mr. Cyril. Labi na nimo sa kabataan Ginoo nga diin ikaw o Dios mo'y naghatag alang kanila. Imo silang gigasahan nimong baka ug aniya Ginoo nagapasalamat sila nganha kanimo o Dios. Ingon nga ikaw mo'y tagiya sa kinabuhi nimo mga baka ug ug magapanalangin ka ni maong bata o Dios nga diin Ginoo samtang siya magatubog Ginoo ikaw ang magapanalangin kaniya o God nga diin magahatag ka kaniya dugang kaalam ug kahibalo nga gikan diha kanimo nang kini maong bata mahimong panalangin usab ni Ginoo bisan pa sa laing mga kabatahan sa laing usab niya Ginoo nga mga parente o God. Lord, ang ako mga pag-ampo nga ikaw magagamit na imong bata, Ginoo, alam diha sa imong buhaton. Ilabi na sa mga ginikanan, Ginoo, ni Brad Vonney, bisan pa, ni Sir Cyril, na side ka, Ginoo, nga diin ang ilang kinabuhila, kining sakripisyo diha sa pag-alaga diha kanila. So, Diyos, ikaw magapanalangin kanila, o God. Nga din ang dagayaon, nga panalangin, imong ipabuhagay ni ilang panimalay, o God. Kung ikaw, Ginoo, mo'y magatapon sa inyong pamili nga dugo na wala bisan unsa pagbuhat sa kaway nga makahilabot alam sa Diyos. Ang salamat ni maong bata o Dios aniya kami nagakalipay sa pagpasalamat diha kanimo tungod kay ikaw man mo'y pag-iya sa kilabot. Salamat Lord nga magtubok kini maong bata o God nga ikaw mo'y magaamuma kaniya ug magapanalangin ka kaniya o Dios nga diin ang iyang kinabuhi mahimong magmauswan ug mahimong panalangin o God. Dalaygon ka sa walay katapusan. Salamat Ginoo ning kautugon o Dios na diin bisan pa sa ako mga kaigsunan nga niya karon. Imong i-bless ang matag usa Ginoo. Imo silang panalanginan o Dios ang matag usa nila ka panimalay o God. Aron sa imo niya na Ginoo kining kinabuhi nga among dakop na batunan karon o Dios. Mahimo kini Ginoo nga amo kining ikalaga diha kanimo o God. Panalangin sila o Dios aron sa imo niya na Ginoo nga ang kinabuhi usab ang kalipay nga imong gihatag alang kanamo mausab ang ilang matagamtaman Ginoo. Salamat Lord, diining kahigayunan karon. Ikaw o Dios ang magapanalangin. Ug siliyuhi kini sa imong hamili nga dugo. Tanan o Dios, ako pasalamatan tungod kay Dios ka ang labing balaan ug langit sa tanan. Tanan o Dios, ako pasalamatan sa ngalan ni Jesus. Amen. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Wala mang kahit
Wow. Wow.
Picture na dihan dyan, sige. Kaya ito sa tawag, ito yung mamaya.
Okay.
Salamat kay Lord. Umitak na sa kahapon ng Ginoo. Doon kami nag-saunod sa Lord. Hindi, Mara. Ginoo, ako sa tangalan mo, Lord. Pinagmasaan, Lord. Mapadayon ka tikot niya, Lord. Padayon ka, Lord, na aga ka niya, Ginoo. Nasayot ka, Lord. Labi na sa kanya, ginikanan, Ginoo. Alagad din ni Lord. Padayon kang magapanalangin sa tibok pamilya, Ginoo. Amahan ang mga Ginoo. Tak na sa kahapon ng Lord. Karon niya kami tanan Ginoo ikaw magapanalangin sa mata ko sa kanya. Bisan pa Lord sa pagkaon nga naa karon sa mga tubangan Ginoo. Amo kani pagkagamiton Lord akong gipangayo diha kanimo Lord sa kami gamit ani Ginoo mao ni makahatag namo kahinso kalagsit nga paglawas Ginoo. Bisan pa sa mga sakit Lord kani nga pagkaon Ginoo mo ni makadipinsa sa among lawas Ginoo. Bisan pa karon Ginoo sa kamot taga-andam ani Lord ikaw magabalik kanila Lord nasayot kami Ginoo sa imong pagkamaayo salamat kayo Amahan initak na sa kapunon Ginoo Lord kiningtanan ako rin inisalig ug itong diyan sa Pilipinas sa kapangalan in Jesus name amen.
This is Bella Chung. You're watching Gerard, Black in the Philippines is the Truth. And we're moving along with the festivities. It's been a very beautiful day. Up until now, it's starting to rain. But this is the main course, Bella Chung, which is roast pig. Only thing that's missing is the apple in its mouth, which they don't do that here traditionally. There it is. Bella China. That is the father of the birthday girl, and that is the mother.
What did you say?
As you see, everybody's waiting patiently to shower to Mr. Piggy, not Miss Piggy. Okay. Now, some people like the scandal. I myself am not crazy about it. Besides, doctor's orders say I shouldn't be eating it. We're going to pause right here and come back.
Hello. Happy Hogan here with love.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. My travel, my trip, my first major trip. But I also want to say I opened the door about my Ukrainian relationship with Tatiana. I think the statute of limitation has run out. I slept on this. I dreamt on this about telling you the story because it's a story. It's a love story. It's something that I'm very proud of to have been in a relationship for 10 years. And it's ups and downs and the beauty of being in a relationship. You know what? Before I tell you where I went, I want to say this. When her and I got together, the thing that breaks up most relationship is what? No, not your cell phone. No, not cheating, although it does have a big factor in it. That's right, money, finances is the root of a lot of relationships, marriages, not lasting. When I got with her, I had made a decision that because it's always on the man to pay for everything, even if the woman makes a lot more money than the guy does, I made a decision that we were going to split everything down the middle, 50-50. When we would go out on a night out of town, we each would take $20. $10 for the entry, $10 for a drink, 2 drinks or whatever, and we would dance a little until our hearts were content and go home. When we go on cruises, if we went to McDonald's and we bought burgers or something like that, whoever paid for it, we kept tabs on how much each one of us spent on together as a unit. And at the end of the month, we added and subtracted with our bills and everything else. And whoever paid the most, the other made up the difference in, making sure that everything was even. And once you take the money equation out of the relationship by doing it that way, you'll see, how happy things, can be. Because you should always be able to pay for yourself. Whenever we went on trips, cruises, I was always able to pay for one ticket, and that's mine. And that's how it should be. You always should be able to pay for yourself. You shouldn't have to put the burden on anyone else financially when it comes to you. You should always be. And even if you don't have it, because women, I give it to them. They are better. They are better at finances than most of the time men are. At least in my relationships, I'm horrible with money. I can't stand money. I have no respect for money. It's something, But anyway, I don't want to break out into a Prince song. But anyway, I want to tell you where I went, and I told you get your pen and papers in hand because I'm a really bad speller. I went to a place called Guihulngan. Let's say that 5 times. It's GULPADULNGAN. Guihulngan. Okay, if those of you who can figure it out, figure it out. But I want to tell you something about this place, because wherever I do go somewhere, I always want to do a little bit of history research on it. Okay. According to Wikipedia, it says the name which means the point where the river flows to an end. Okay, that's an important factor. The second is the association with the gruesome incident in the 19th century when the Philippines was colonized by Spain. As a matter of fact, the last video we just got through talking about was about Spain, colonizing the Philippines. Okay, now what had happened was that when they would come, men, women, and children were said to be captured, beheaded, and thrown into the sea, now known as the, okay, here goes another lesson, Taron Strait, T-A-N-O-N, Taron Strait. Here goes another one, the Moros, M-O-R-O-S. Another account chain that the Moros, they dropped the bell into the sea, which they found out was used by the lookouts to warn the town folks that the pirates were coming, which that time was placed and has been called Guihulngan. Okay, that's what it's called. But that's where I went. Okay, now on the other note, it has a large forest lands, a vast agriculture area. Rice, corn, sugar, and coconuts are the main products of the city. Fishing is also important industry, especially for the barangays. You remember when we were driving and I was pointing out all the different barangays? Well, that's what they're talking about, barangays. Barangays near the coastal area, and that's where we were riding to when we went there. The city has a thriving livestock and poultry rising industry. Now, something else they also have a festival called the Caran Bell Festival, C-A-R-A Bell Festival, which is a festival is annually celebrated every 24th day of May. Legend has said that pirates killed the natives of the town and dropped the bell into the sea. The bell, which was also used by the watchmen to warn the local residents of the coming of the pirates, was also taken down and flung offshore. The bell was in the water. They took it down. So once they took it down, they noticed that the pirates were coming. So it was a warning. So they celebrate that as a festival because I'm sure it saved a lot of lives. So it was a very important milestone in the history of that area. Now, it's a place. Okay. I also researched because when you talk about politics, in the Philippines, you have to be careful because people take it very seriously. Whether if you like Duterte or you don't like Duterte, if you believe in the NPA, which is the the New People's Army, which I was going to read you some about the New People's Army. Oh, okay. It says when something, in that same city I was telling you about, Guihulngan in Negros, is a place that makes it to be the news only when extremely something has happened. Like when a 4-year-old, Athea, whatever her name is, was accidentally killed and the police in a anti-drug operation on September 20th. And on May 25th, when there was also 2 people killed which led to the ambush of police officers, etc. So this place where I went is also known as the stronghold of the New People's Army. The New People Army, let me see. The New People Army is the armed wing of the Communist Party of the Philippines, based primarily in the Filipino countryside. So that's a little bit about the New People Army, but I was talking about the politics because sometimes you're talking to someone and especially me being a foreigner, not knowing much about or deeply about, the history or the politics or where people stand. I mean, you could easily say, are you a Republican or a Democrat? And you can immediately, draw your own wildest, extreme views of that individual. But here, when you draw an extreme view of someone, it can be very dangerous. So having conversations often at time, which I do because I do consider myself somewhat up on what's happening in the Philippines, but I tread on water lightly because I have to make sure that I have to look at both sides of the situation and let it be known when I'm talking to someone that I'm talking about both sides of the situation. Like, I like President Duterte mostly because of his drug policies, and how he stood for no drugs. And I really appreciate that because that was definitely a deal breaker for me when I decided to come to the Philippines, and for some people, just like his method of his anti-drug policy, where he literally stormed through the Philippines, eradicating, drug users and drug dealers, and there are a lot of innocent people, perish because of that. But then on the same token, families were now able to come back outside and sit outside and their children play outside without the worry of, them being affected or victim of people on drugs. Duterte has a high approval rating in the country, about 85% of approval rating. While the rest of the world, wants to look at them as human rights violation and someone, negative, or the Philippines as being negative. But, again, you have to look at your own country. I'm sure there's some things going on in your country, like in America, shooting unarmed black people in the back, or things of that nature. There's a trial now going on where a police officer, grabbed a taser, thought she was grabbing a taser, got a gun and shot somebody and they pulled him over because he had an air freshener hanging from his window. So often the time we hear these horrible, horrible stories of what happens, and you wonder if there's a human rights violation that can be filed against the United States for its treatment of not only blacks, but the extreme, excessive force that is being used, on people they deemed as someone not worthy of being treated as a human being. Okay, so with that being said, remember, dreams are nothing more than plans awaiting action. You're watching Gerard Black in the Philippines with the truth. Please take time to hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Okay, and if you haven't got a dream, a goal, an idea, don't worry about it. Do what I used to do. Get as much as you can, as fast as you can, and never disrespect the elderly. And always pull someone up. And sometimes you're the only one. You're the only one who sees your vision. Like I'm the only one who sees these videos, but that's okay, because there might be somebody who might find something and take something from it. And for that, this is for you. And if you're lucky enough to have a woman, like Ali Woodson once said, treat her like a lady. I want to thank Mia for helping me out on the videography. I don't know how much credit she wants to take for it, but I want to thank her for accompanying me, and also want to say happy birthday again to my host and family who hosted me. Beautiful, beautiful soul. Okay, and I'll always love you more. I'll talk to you later. Peace. And coming up, that's my relationship with Tatiana, a Ukrainian like no other.